Hi, everybody. Today we're going to do something, we're going to kind of review something that if you're in Miss Kennemer's class, you've learned before. And that's about how we describe characters. Now, there are three main ways that we describe characters. One way we describe characters, and I'm going to kind of create a table because later we're going to use a table. So if you want to do this with me, please do. I like to create a table because it helps me organize things easily, but you do not have to organize your information the same way that I am. You can choose to write it down a different way. But one way we describe characters are by their traits. Now, we know a trait describes what the character might look like, but more importantly, we like to use what we call character traits, right? Because what a character looks like or what you could tell by looking at them is a physical trait. But we like to use character traits. So a character trait is words that you use that describe who a character is on the inside. For example, brave or mischievous, like they like to get in trouble, or maybe they are impulsive. They act without thinking. So those are character traits. That's one way we can describe a character. And another way we can describe a character is by their feelings. And everybody knows a feeling is, what you feel. Feelings, obviously, are things we know change very easily. For example, I can go from happy to sad to mad to excited, and that's my feelings changes. The difference between a feeling and a character trait is a feeling changes easily. That's the way I like to think of it. Like it's easy to, or something happens in your mind. A character trait only changes, I'm going to put only changes after something very big might happen. Something big happens. For example, you could be selfish, but you could learn a really important lesson and be less selfish. So usually character traits do not change, especially in the stories that we read. If they do change, like one character trait might change in the whole book or the whole chapter book. Feelings, however, they change very easily. They change, and they might change. Each character's feelings will change several times. In not just a book, it could change several times in a chapter. All right, and the last way that we describe a character is through their motivations. A motivation is why they do something, like what they want. What they want, or maybe it's what they need. It's kind of like a reason why. For example, what was my motivation this morning for eating breakfast? My motivation was I was hungry, right? That makes sense. My hunger is what motivated me or made me want to eat breakfast. It was the reason why I ate breakfast. Now, a lot of times these things are happening all together in a story. For your character is showing you traits by their actions, right? They do something and you're like, oh man, that kid's brave. Or they get angry and you're like, ooh, he was happy and now he's angry. I wonder why that happened. Or they're motivated. Hey, he wants to find out who's trying to steal this thing. That's why he's being so careless. So a lot of times all of these things are happening all at once in our story, right? Now, what we're going to do today is, now that we are reminded, or if we learned, depending on where you are, 3 ways to describe our characters. We're going to choose a chapter book. So what I want you to do is I want you to choose a chapter book that you have either read and you have at home, or you are going to read. All right? So chapter book, you're going to put your name of your title. And at the end of this video, we'll talk a little bit about where you can get a chapter book if you don't have one, or where you could see one, okay? There are a couple on Mac and Via. But there are some other areas you can get a chapter book if you don't have them. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to use the chapter book that my class and I just finished together, which is Harry Potter and I'm not going to write it all out. Well, maybe I will. Sorcerer's Stone. All right, so that's the book we just finished. You want to choose a chapter book you've read a few chapters of. You don't want to choose one that you just started, because it'll make it harder to find this information, and we don't want it to take you forever. Okay? So I'm going to put right here the character that I am going to make this chart for. And so I'm going to choose, it is a book I'm going to choose Harry. You don't have to choose your main character. If I could have also chosen all kinds of people. I could have chosen Ron. I could have chosen Hermione. I could have chosen Neville. But I could have chosen Professor McGonagall even. But I'm going to choose Harry because he's kind of easy. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put the word example up here. This is like what it is. What's a character trait he has? So not example, but like, let's see if there's, so I'm going to put the character trait that he has. For example, I'm going to say that he is brave. And then in parentheses, I am going to put the page I found it on. Okay? So I'm going to say, well, I know, God, Harry is brave and all over in this book. I've got a really big copy of it, by the way. So I'm going to say, he was brave when, not to spoil anything for anybody who has not read this. So I don't want to go too far in there. But I would say he was brave when on the train. When he says something, he's talking to Malfoy on the train. So now, as you can see, I'm going back through and I'm finding, page 89. So I'm going to put page 89. He shows that he's brave. He's brave all through this book. That's how I know it's a character trait. Because he's brave at the beginning. He's brave in the middle all the time. He's brave at the end. That's how I know it's a character trait, because over and over, his actions show to me that he is brave. All right? So I put brave, and now I'm just going to put, how do I know he's brave? On page 83, what did he do? He stood up to Malfoy. So I just kind of put now, what was the example? He stood up to Malfoy. Now, I would also, if this is a character trait, I should find at least one other time where he shows me he's brave. And I can look at the beginning of this, way back with a snake. So I'm going to say he was also brave on page 24, I think. 24. So babe with, and I'm going to put with the snake. All right. So I put two examples because a trait should be, you should be able to find more than one example of them showing that trait, right? Because it's a part of who they are on the inside. All right. My next part, feelings. I'm going to choose a part where I feel like his feelings change. You can, in fact, if you want to, use the same one. But I'm going to put the feeling that he feels is nervous. And I'm going to say he feels super nervous on page, I got to find the page, page 95. And then I'm just going to put why he felt nervous. He felt nervous because he was waiting to go into the Great Hall. Yeah, if you've read this book, you know exactly what part I'm talking about. Right when he first gets to Hogwarts. Okay, so again, I wrote a feeling he had, and then I wrote how he feels. Okay, why he felt that way. All right, and my final one that I'm going to do today is the motivation piece. And so motivation again is what they want or they need and the reason why. So I am going to say that he is motivated to, what is he motivated to do? He wants to be friends. So what is motivating him? One of the things that's motivating him at the beginning of the story to be nice to Ron. He's motivated to be nice to Ron. So be nice to Ron. And now I have to have a because. Because he wants a friend, right? And so that is on page 86 and kind of 87. That's where he's like sharing sweets. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I hope I haven't spoiled any important parts of the book for you if you've not read this book. But here, what have I done? Again, I said, hey, what do they want? What is the reason why they're doing something? Well, the reason he's doing something, he's nice to Ron, and why is he doing that? Because he wants a friend. So he like bought all these sweets so that he could be nice to Ron because he wants a friend. All right? So I've given one example of a character trait. In a couple of places I found proof of it. I gave one example of a feeling and proof of where I found it. I gave one example of a motivation and proof of where I found it. Now, you're going to keep this because on Friday, we're going to fill in this side and we're going to talk about what this side is on Friday. Okay? So, this is your work for today. Take a picture and upload it. You may choose your... you may choose where you put this. Now, not choose where to put this, excuse me. You may choose what book to do. Put this in a safe place because we're going to continue on Friday. Now, places that you can get books if you don't have them. If you have a library card, so if you or your parent has a library card for the state of Georgia, anywhere in the state of Georgia, you can take the card. Sorry, Miss Candleberry's trying to, and you can. I just realized that I don't have something on here. But you can go to the website for Georgia, and I'm going to actually put this in another video because what I realize is I'm recording this on my Ladybug and not with Screencast, so you can't see what website I go to. So there in the description is going to be a link. If you click on that link, it's going to teach you about where to go, how you can use your library card to find and check out chapter books, ebooks, so that you can read them. All right? Okay, so look for that link in the description on the YouTube page. All righty. See you on Friday.